The man who has much ojas is the leader of men. It gives a tremendous power of attraction. In many ways, the increase of confidence and ability to express myself authentically in real life has caused me to grow in respect. This is a result of me retaining my life force. When stating my stance on certain topics which are taboo, I found that the reaction of the people surrounding me were well received. A lot of my beliefs, such as semen retention, would simply get ridiculed by modern society. We've been so indoctrinated and sexualized that the thought of retaining your life force has become a ridiculous thought and something that will get you mocked. I find I am expressing myself and my stance in such a way that people are responding well to it, possibly even causing intrigue. I don't like to share publicly what I do, so when co-workers become curious about my relational status, I simply tell them that I am taking a hiatus from women while I am in the process of rebuilding my life. The way that it is expressed leaves them understanding and many times agreeing that it's a good idea. I never mention anything about semen retention or shove my views down their throat. Sometimes they will playfully make fun of my situation, and that's all right. I just roll along with it and have a good laugh as well. I feel powerful, knowing the secret that retaining our life force empowers us to create success in all areas of life. This is a stark difference because for a long time I've been a hermit and quite socially awkward at times when my anxiety would rise up. I'm an introvert by nature. I've been for a long time. I can trace back the first memory of shame at self-expression, back to around the time that I discovered pornography. At the time, I attributed the stark shift in confidence to going through puberty and it being normal since we become more self-aware. These days, I am wondering if I really am an introvert since I find myself enjoying the company of people. And starting conversations with strangers is a breeze. Yes, even pretty women. And so I resonate with this first quote, since I have really evolved in the way people perceive and react to me. I may not be a leader of men yet, but I have definitely seen a change in the way people interact with me. All the powers in the universe are already ours. It is we who have put our hands before our eyes and cry that it is dark. We are the ones causing our blindness. The blindness referred to in this quote is a spiritual one, a blindness caused by the closing of the third eye. We don't realize that many of the hedonistic practices of our society, such as pornography, causes us to put our own hands before our spiritual eye and cause blindness. I believe it was Catholics who used to teach that masturbation would cause blindness. And of course, on a physical level, this is nonsense. The blindness that it does cause is a spiritual one. You see, the inner eye is fueled by sexual energy, and without a constant flow, the inner lamp of the body runs out of oil and grows dim. When we waste away this precious life force, we waste away our power along with it. Knowledge is power, and without the ability to perceive the power we have within, because we have become blind inwardly, causes this blindness to be reflected in the outer world. Without this inner light guiding us, we remain blind to our potential and purpose in life. And so, since we are not capable in this state of carving out our own path in life, we submit ourselves to the systems already in place, systems that more often benefit others more than ourselves. We become slaves to the system, and it is ourselves doing it to ourselves. That is why knowledge is power. People do not know the potential of sexual energy. They have swallowed the lie that daily masturbation is healthy. Porn is free and prevalent because it is a way to keep a society docile and controlled. A man who harnesses sexual energy begins to break free from this bondage and create life and wealth for himself and his own. And this all begins by harnessing the God-given river of sexual energy that we have all been blessed with rather than making puddles in the outer world with it. As you begin to understand the value of semen, of how precious a substance it is, your inner eye begins to open. As you harness sexual energy, spiritual blindness is cured. You have to grow from the inside out. None can teach you. None can make you spiritual. There is no other teacher but your own soul. This quote reminds me of the fig fruit, which, unlike other fruits, blossoms inwardly. It was used as an iconic symbol and metaphor in older literature since it signifies the inward spiritual growth of individuals. The fig fruit pulls resources from the vine to blossom inwardly, and it is the same with the soul of man. The spine or vertebrae of man is the vine which nourishes our soul. Life force, when retained, churns and transmutes itself to funnel through the pathway of the spine and nourish the mind. The mind is a flower. Without the replenishing qualities of sexual energy, it begins to wither away. One of the most soul-sucking practices, leaving man a shadow of himself, is the immoral release of his life force. Life force, which would otherwise nourish his soul if preserved. I hear many nightfall emissions being blamed on a succubus, a soul-sucking harlot, which haunts the sleep of men. In other words, excessive release of the life force will cause a depleted soul. The world is all sexy, as Swami Vivekananda stated. Temptations are around every corner, especially for men that have grown in attractiveness and magnetism from harnessing their inner channel of potential. When man retains this life-giving substance, more gazes find their way to him. As you grow in health, wealth, and success, as you begin to clean the temple which is a human body, you enhance both your physical and spiritual attraction, meaning that on a physical level you begin to turn more heads. Spiritually, you become like a magnet to the good things of life, including the gazes and desires of women. It seems that when you retain, you must also grow in self-control, since you begin to attract more potential sexual encounters. Magnetism has as its source sexual energy, meaning that when you are full of life force energy, your electromagnetic field oscillates at a high frequency. A high frequency means you hold much attraction power on a subconscious level. People don't know why, but they are attracted to you. You begin making friends easily. Opportunities and unexpected coincidences start peppering your life. It also means that all those in your proximity will take notice of you on a subconscious level. Intrigue and attraction will cause more interactions with people, again meaning a greater increase in possible sexual encounters. Women can feel when a man is full of life force, and it works like a strong magnet to their desire. Women want what they cannot have, and since the man who has taken on semen retention has consecrated himself to chastity, they become an item of desire, something they cannot have, and so it becomes a game of cat and mouse, and all you have done is decided to hold on to your life force. Other men are throwing themselves at her, and she is only interested in what she cannot have and perceives as valuable. You. Life force is the basis of a healthy physical life. It is the very seed giving birth to new life, and so, does it not also make sense that it is the river which also sustains it? Life force, semen, ajas, sexual energy. Call it what you will. It is the foundation to a spiritual life. The spiritual life has always been associated with light, while a demonic life is associated with darkness. There is much light within our semen. This is why it causes the pineal gland to be full of light when harnessed. The body is a vessel through which physical resources are taken in and ultimately converted into sexual energy. Older Hindu texts speak of how many drops of blood it takes to make a single drop of semen. And so it is a very valuable substance, since to make blood it requires an adequate amount of resources also. All of the air, food, and sunlight we take in goes to sustaining the body, and afterwards, with the excess, goes on to create life force. Light, specifically sunlight, is the basis for life. It warms the earth, grows our food, and much more. Everything we consume has as its basis light, and when broken down by the body, that light is absorbed and used for our sustenance. It becomes liquid light feeding the body. The healthier of a lifestyle we live, the more abundance of light we have within. Light, which is used to awaken our spiritual senses. If your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. Being full of light is an experience like no other. It's feelings of ecstasy and pure bliss. It's a constant smile and cheerful demeanor, no matter what situation you find yourself in. The outer world is always fluctuating, yet on the inside you are constant, because you have built up your reserves of resilience through harnessing and channeling life force, the most powerful force in the universe. Think of it, the very seed which creates a human life. What could possibly be more powerful? God designed it as such that we create this power within our vessels. We don't need to scour the shelves of the supermarket for supplements when we have our own super resource within. The issue is that what God designed to circulate within the body, man is releasing on the external at unprecedented rates. It is not meant for the excessive releasing for pleasure, but to empower us from within, leading us to live fulfilling lives. And this all begins with consecrating yourself. It all begins with the knowledge and realization of how precious a substance we create within ourselves. When we understand the implications, we will, from our own desires, wish to preserve this life-giving, light-giving flow of energy. Begin to view your body as a temple. If your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. Our bodies are temples, while our pineal glands are chandeliers. Sexual energy is the electrical current which activates this spiritual organ. When this organ awakens, it gives a spiritual sight. It gives us illumination, causing an awakening of the spiritual senses. This is life-transforming. As you begin to perceive and sense the world in a new light, a world which at one point you believed to be simply physical, you begin to be sensitive to the subtle details being communicated all around you. It's a sort of language most have become deaf to, little details in the way people speak or carry themselves which give insight into their character, and most likely the turn of events if you get into dealings with the person. You begin to make decisions based on intuition, since the voice of your gut feelings, which might have been suppressed, is now heard loud and clear. The right choice is no longer a struggle to figure out. It's no longer a debate, since you hear your inner intuition guiding you. Intuition is an inner tuition. No one can teach you but yourself. Tapas means literally to burn. It is a kind of penance to heat the higher nature. In Hinduism, tapas refers to a practice of spiritual austerity or self-discipline, often involving physical hardships like fasting, difficult postures, or exposure to extreme elements, undertaken to purify the body and mind, ultimately aiming for spiritual liberation or moksha, by burning away impurities through a process likened to inner heat or fiery discipline. The word itself translates from Sanskrit meaning to burn or heat. One of the most heated forms of energy held within the body is sexual energy. This potent energy is a fire that can both burn or purify. As sexual energy builds up within an individual, it becomes a strong force to contend with. As it grows, we begin to burn with passion. It is only those who get back up after falling that will ever learn to master this desire and channel it up to the mind for the distribution to the entire body in the form of a transmuted and more pure substance. The Hindus referred to this heavenly flow in their writings as the heavenly Ganges, river which flowed from heaven to earth or from the mind to the body. And doesn't the mind resemble a cloud from where water rains down from? The third eye, when fueled with sexual energy, begins to cry. In other words, it releases endogenous DMT, which is healing and uplifting for the individual, creating bliss from within without ever having to search on the outside for fulfillment. In short, those who purify their bodies through spiritual practices, which really are healthy lifestyle choices, create an inner environment conducive to the flow of sexual energy. If the energy ever only builds up in the lower chakras or organs of man, never to be funneled up and distributed to the whole body as the river of life it was intended to be. It is only a matter of time until we burn with passion, which will lead thoughts in an impure direction. It will only be a matter of time until we find ourselves with someone, which otherwise, if we had clarity of mind, we would not associate with. When we burn with passion, it warps our thinking and leads to bad decisions. Most people, not understanding the value of this fire, release it at the first sign of heat. This release continues day after day, and the life force is never accumulated. Greatness is never achieved, and a depleted version of a man is the result. A man who is under the sway of womanly wiles. A man who is controlled by women rather than being equals to each other, both in their respective place. A pure lifestyle leads to a purifying inner environment where light can thrive. The chaste brain has tremendous energy and gigantic willpower. Without chastity, there can be no spiritual strength,